Our great country, when you work hard and play by the rules, you deserve to earn a living wage. You deserve to have an affordable place to call home. You deserve to educate your children in a great public school that is free from gun violence. And you deserve high-quality, affordable health care, and you deserve the chance to one day retire with grace and with dignity. But for far too many people in our great country, they are struggling to live paycheck to paycheck. And as a result, the American dream is out of reach. Here's the thing. Extreme MAGA Republicans don't care about everyday Americans. They only care about themselves. Our approach, led by Kamala Harris and Coach Walz, is very different. We care about you, the American people. And we will fight hard to make sure that the American dream is alive and well in every single community. Now, the road ahead will not be easy, which brings me to you-know-who. Donald Trump is like an old boyfriend who you broke up with, but he just won't go away. He has spent the last 4 years spinning the block, trying to get back into a relationship with the American people. Bro, we broke up with you for a reason. Trump was the mastermind of the GOP tax scam, where 83% of the benefits went to the wealthiest 1% in America. Trump failed our country during the COVID-19 pandemic. Trump is a chaos agent who is focused on himself, not the American people. Trump tried to destroy our democracy by lying about the election and inciting a violent mob to attack the Capitol. Trump put 3 extreme justices on the Supreme Court who destroyed Roe v. Wade. We broke up with you for a reason. Donald Trump can spin the block all he wants, but there's no reason for us to ever get back together. Been there, done that, we're not going back. Kamala Harris and House Democrats will always put people over politics. Kamala Harris and House Democrats will lower costs and grow the middle class. Kamala Harris and House Democrats will fix our broken immigration system and secure the border. Kamala Harris and House Democrats will strengthen the relationship between the police and the community. Kamala Harris and House Democrats will continue to combat the climate crisis with the fierce urgency of now. Kamala Harris and House Democrats will protect Social Security, protect Medicare, protect Medicaid, protect the Affordable Care Act, protect working families, protect small businesses, protect the middle class, protect free enterprise, protect our children, protect our seniors, protect our veterans, protect our unions, protect our dreamers, and always protect a woman's freedom to make her own reproductive health care decisions. The extreme MAGA Republicans want to divide us. But the Constitution promises equal protection under the law. We are one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Together, let's build a brighter future for our children and our grandchildren. In the Old Testament, book of Psalms, the scripture tells us that weeping may endure during the long night, but joy will come in the morning. Here's how we do it. Strategize on Sunday. Meet the moment on Monday. Take it to them on Tuesday. Work it out on Wednesday. Thank the Lord on Thursday. Fight the power on Friday. Set it off on Saturday. Get a few hours of sleep, wake up the next day, and do it all over again until joy, joy, joy comes in the morning. Now there's only 76 days left. There are only 76 days left. We must continue to speak up. We must continue to show up. We must continue to stand up, not as Democrats or Republicans, but as Americans. And when we do, nothing can stop Kamala Harris from becoming the 47th President of the United States of America. Nothing can stop House Democrats from taking back the majority. Nothing can stop the American people from continuing our march toward a more perfect union. Nothing can stop us. We're all the way up. God bless you. God bless Kamala Harris. May God bless the United States of America.
You want to go outside today?
Yeah.
Want to go put your shoes on?
Yes.
Let's go outside.
Ruby is 2 years old. I'm starting to think, will she be an iron worker like her dad? I hate to break it to you, but I'm not a billionaire. Donald Trump talked a big game about bringing jobs back to America, but it was all talk, like Foxconn.
This is the 8th wonder of the world.
Foxconn, by most estimates, has not even come close to meeting expectations.
This whole project was a scam. He is not looking out for the residents. He's looking out for himself.
You know what Trump delivered? $2 trillion in tax cuts focused on his billionaire buddies and big corporations.
You're rich as hell.
It makes me angry. Billionaires don't pay their share of the load. And he wants to do that again. Trump talked a massive game about infrastructure. What a joke.
We call it Infrastructure Week. Infrastructure is the easiest of all. We're going to get this infrastructure going.
Trump was too incompetent to get it done. Who's he looking out for? Not us, not my family. You know who got it done? Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Biggest infrastructure package in history. Infrastructure is just a fancy word for jobs. Not just union workers, but for everyone. Small businesses are booming. Communities are starting to thrive again. I wish it was faster. The prices are easing. Kamala Harris helped deliver the largest job growth in American history. Wages are higher. Manufacturing is booming. We're building roads, bridges, airports again. That's a fact. And we have healthcare.
When our middle class is strong, America is strong.
Kamala's goal is to rebuild the middle class for families like mine.
Thank you. Whoa. Let me ask you something. After the last 2 days, aren't you proud to be a Democrat? And I am very grateful to the Republicans and independents that have joined us, have been up here on the stage. And I hope they feel better about it now. Because I've seen all these things that even I have to be reminded of from time to time when I get my spirits down. I love seeing the Obamas here. I love seeing President Biden. And I thought Hillary gave a great speech, too. And I love seeing all these young leaders. A bunch of them are coming up after me. They look better, they sound better, and they'll be exciting. I do want to say one word about President Biden. Remember, he had an improbable turn that made him president. And we were in the middle of a pandemic and an economic crash. He healed our sick and put the rest of us back to work. And he strengthened our alliances for peace and security. He stood up for Ukraine. He's trying desperately to get a ceasefire in the Middle East. And then he did something that's really hard for a politician to do. He voluntarily gave up political power. And George Washington knew that, and he did it. And he set the standard for us serving 2 terms before it was mandatory. It helped his legacy, and it will enhance Joe Biden's legacy. And it's a stark contrast to what goes on in the other party. So I want to thank him for his courage, compassion, his class, his service, his sacrifice. Joe Biden, thank you. And he kept the faith, and he's infected a lot of the rest of us. Now let's cut to the chase. I am too old to gild the lily. 2 days ago, I turned 78, the oldest man in my family of 4 generations. And the only personal vanity I want to assert is I'm still younger than Donald Trump. Last night, in what I thought was a very moving series of episodes, we nominated Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And just think about that. 2 leaders with all-American but still improbable life stories. It could only happen here. Their careers, after all, started in community courtrooms and classrooms. 2 leaders who spent a lifetime getting the good job done. Now, one of the things that I've noticed over my increasingly long life is that a presidential election is unique in several ways. First of all, it's the greatest job interview for the greatest job in the world. Secondly, the Constitution says we, the people, get to do the hiring. And the third thing is that every 4 years, we get to change the requirements for the job. So here's what I'm thinking, because I try to apply this in every election. Will this president take us backward or forward? Will this president give our kids a brighter future? Depends. Will this president bring us together or tear us apart? Will the president increase the peace, security, and stability and freedom that we enjoy and extend it to others as we can. We, the people, we have to make a decision about these kind of questions. And every 4 years, it's a little different because the people come at the candidates, and they say, as they're saying now, here are our problems, solve them. Here are our opportunities, seize them. Here are our fears, ease them. Here are our dreams, help them come true. A president can answer that call by saying, I'll do my part, but you have to help me. We have to work together. Or you can dodge what needs to be done by dividing, distracting, and diverting us. So in 2024, we got a pretty clear choice, it seems to me. Kamala Harris for the people, and the other guy who's proved even more than the first go-around that he's about me, myself, and I. I know which one I like better for our country. Kamala Harris will work to solve our problems, seize our opportunities, ease our fears, and make sure every single American, however they vote, has a chance to chase their dreams. You know, when she was young, she worked at McDonald's. And she greeted every person with that 1,000-watt smile and said, how can I help you? Now she's at the pinnacle of power and she's still asking, how can I help you? I'll be so happy when she actually enters the White House as president, because she will break my record as the president who spent the most time at McDonald's. Now, but we got an election to win. And remember, we've got a guy that's pretty good at what he does. Donald Trump has been a paragon of consistency. He's still dividing, he's still blaming, he's still belittling other people. He creates chaos, and then he sort of curates it as if it were precious art. Let me say, not a single day goes by, even though I've been gone for well over 23 years from the White House, not a day goes by that I don't thank the Lord for the chance I had to serve and what it meant. And one of the reasons, thank you. Wait. One of the reasons I love the job so much is that in the toughest times, even on the darkest days, if you tried hard enough, there was always something good you could do for somebody else. Now, some days that's not easy to do. You've got to deal with all these emergencies, or there's something going on here, there, or yonder. But Kamala Harris is the only candidate in this race who has the vision, the experience, the temperament, the will, and yes, the sheer joy to get something done. I mean, look, what does her opponent do with his voice? He mostly talks about himself, right? So the next time you hear him, don't count the lies. Count the eyes. Count the eyes. His vendettas, his vengeance, his complaints, his conspiracies. He's like one of those tenors opening up before he walks out on stage, like I did, trying to get his lungs open by singing, me, 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 me. When Kamala Harris is president, every day will begin with you, 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 you. So, we got to ask ourselves the questions if we're going to hire a president. Do you want to build a strong economy from the bottom up and the middle out? Or do you want to spend the next 4 years talking about crowd size? You're going to have a hard time believing this, but so help me, I triple-checked it. Since the end of the Cold War in 1989, America has created about 51 million new jobs. I swear I checked this 3 times. Even I couldn't believe it. What's the score? Democrats 50, Republicans 1. I'm glad that we've got a championship-winning coach on our team. But even the most limited of us in what we know about football or any other sport knows that if you're got 50 and the other side's got 1, you're ahead. What about affordable housing? It's a terrible problem in America now. We need more. And affordable health care. That's why the Democrats put a limit on monthly payments for insulin and a $2,000 a year out-of-pocket limit, and are trying to cover more drugs by bargaining for prices. We need more financing for small businesses. We need still to strengthen our alliances. I almost croaked in the first debate of this election season when President Trump said nobody respected America anymore like they did when he was president. Wait. And with a straight face. Look, you got to give him. He's a good actor. With a straight face, he cited as evidence of the respect that existed for us when he was there the presidents of North Korea and Russia. I'd rather have the people who respect us now. And one of the things is when you send a signal to the other countries, you want them to know, whether they agree with you or not, at least that you're on the level, that here's where you are and what you believe. What are they supposed to make to these endless tributes to the late, great Hannibal Lecter? I mean, President Obama once gave me the great honor of saying I was the explainer-in-chief. Folks, I've thought and thought about it, and I don't know what to say. Like Hakeem Jeffries, I too want an America that's more joyful, more inclusive, more future-focused. Just think what a burden it's been on us to get up day after day after day after day, buried in meaningless hot rhetoric, when there's so many opportunities out there, so many problems that need to be solved. I want that. And that's the America Kamala Harris will lead. And she's already made her first presidential decision, and she knocked it out of the park when she asked Governor Tim Walz to be her nominee for vice president. As they used to say when I was a young man growing up in Arkansas, you do not have to be all broke out with brilliance. You just look at Tim Walz, listen to him, follow his record as a teacher, as a coach in the National Guard, as a congressman, where he was the only Democrat, save one, elected in that district in more than 100 years. And he stayed a long time. And then he became a great governor. And by all accounts, he was a crack shot who had the courage among his rural constituents to say, we do not need these assault weapons available to people who can kill our kids in school. So, armed with her first decision, Kamala Harris confronts an interesting dilemma. We're going to walk out of here feeling pretty good, I think. We've got energy, we are happy, we feel like a load's off our shoulders. And we know we're just being asked to fight the same fight that the forces of progress have had to fight for 250 years. In the face of stiff and often violent opposition, we have to find a way to go forward together, where we the people make our union more perfect. So that's a good thing. How could we possibly lose? Kamala Harris has fought for kids her whole life that were left out and left behind. She's taken on gangs trafficking across the border. She's fought to protect the rights of homeowners. She's been our leader in the fight for reproductive freedoms, and we know a majority of the American people are with us on that. And she's gained an invaluable amount of experience as vice president, advancing our values and interests around the world. She's already said she's going to work really hard to make sure that no American working full-time lives in poverty or has to worry about their children living in poverty. She says that we got to make home ownership an achievable dream for everyone, not just a privilege. She said that and this meant a lot to me, that she would protect everybody's right to vote, whether or not they voted for her. They were citizens and they deserved the right to vote. The other day, her opponent implied that as his people voted one more time, they'd be able to rig it from now on and they wouldn't have to vote again. You think they're kidding, but I know a lot of these folks, and most of them are really good people, but some of them think that they are bound to dominate America politically, economically, and socially, and they have to use politics to do it, and they should rig the system. I don't believe that. And so here's what I want to tell you. We've seen more than one election slip away from us when we thought it couldn't happen, when people got distracted by phony issues or overconfident. This is a brutal, tough business. I want you to be happy. One of the reasons that President-to-be Harris is doing so well is that we're all so happy. But you should never underestimate your adversary. And these people are really good at distracting us, at triggering doubt, at triggering buyer's remorse. As the Obama said so eloquently last night, they are human, you know. They're bound to make a mistake now and then. We got to be tough. And so, as somebody who spends a lot of time in small towns and rural areas in New York and Arkansas and other places, I urge you to talk to all your neighbors. I urge you to meet people where they are. I urge you not to demean them, but not to pretend you don't disagree with them if you do. Treat them with respect, just the way you'd like them to treat you. Ask for their help and then follow our leader, Kamala, and ask them, how can I help you? We Democrats right now have a lot of hay in the barn. We've got massive achievements, massive advances, but there's still a lot of slips between today and Election Day that we have to navigate. And so I want to say this from the bottom of my heart. I have no idea how many more of these I'll be able to come to. I started in '76, and I've been to every one since. But no, 72. Lord, I'm getting old. But here's what I want you to know. If you vote for this team, if you can get them elected and let them bring in this breath of fresh air, You will be proud of it for the rest of your life. Your children will be proud of it. Your grandchildren will be proud of it. Take it from a man who once had the honor to be called in this convention the man from hope. We need Kamala Harris, the president of joy, to lead us. So, I'll be doing my part, you do yours. I'll see you when we're making a real joyful noise when the votes are counted. God bless you, and God bless America.
Without giving a shout out to the amazing delegation from my home state, Massachusetts. I love you, Massachusetts. Everyone is always hating on us, but they just don't get it. Go Sox. Go Jason Tatum. Ben Affleck, hang in there. Dunkin' Donuts is the best coffee in the world. Okay. Our next speaker needs no introduction. She was the first woman to ever serve as Speaker of the House. Yes, you know what's coming. This woman was doing Brat before Brat was Brat. The mother of dragons. Please welcome Nancy Pelosi.
Hello, California. Hello, Maryland. Hello, Democrats. On January 20th, 2021, with the inauguration of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, we established one of the most successful presidencies of modern times. And we quickly proved that Democrats deliver. Millions of jobs, stronger infrastructure and rural broadband, a Biden child tax credit, rescuing human pensions, honoring our veterans, bold climate action, lowering the cost of prescription drugs, all thanks to President Biden's patriotic vision of a fairer America, doing so with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Joe. And I know that Vice President Harris is ready to take us to new heights. I've known Kamala Harris for decades. Personally, I know her a person of deep faith, which is reflected in her community care and service. Officially, she is a leader of strength and wisdom and eloquence on policy, most recently demonstrated fighting for women's right to choose. Politically, she is astute and strategic in winning difficult elections, quickly securing the nomination with dignity and grace, and choosing Tim Walz as our vice president. I had the honor of serving with Tim for 12 years in the Congress. He united Democrats, Republicans, and independents to turn a red district blue. He showed courage when he came to Congress in voting for the Affordable Care Act, meeting the needs of his constituents despite Republicans' lies and misrepresentation. When he went home, won the election, he returned to Congress, he fought for our Americans' heroes as the Democratic leader of the Veterans Affairs Committee. Thank you, Tim. January 6th was a perilous moment for our democracy. Never before had a president of the United States so brazenly assaulted the bedrock of our democracy, so gleefully embraced political violence, so willfully betrayed his oath of office. Let us not forget who assaulted democracy on January 6th. He did. But let us not forget who saved democracy that day. We did. And thank God we had a Democratic House of Representatives then. We returned to the Capitol that very same night. We insisted on certifying the election results on the floors of the House and the Senate. And we demonstrated to America and to the world that American democracy prevailed. The parable of January 6th reminds us that our democracy is only as strong as the courage and commitment of those entrusted with its care. And we must choose leaders who believe in free and fair elections, who respect the peaceful transfer of power. The choice couldn't be clearer. Those leaders are Vice President Harris and Governor Walz. When the sun rose on January 7th, as our national anthem declares, we gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Now, in this election, we are called upon to do the same, to stand together, to reject autocracy, to choose democracy, and we will do so by electing a Democratic House with Hakeem Jeffries as Speaker of the House, electing a Democratic Senate, electing Tim Walz as Vice President of the United States, and electing Kamala Harris as the President of the United States. Onward to victory!
Please welcome Alexander Hudlin, Jasper Emhoff, and Arden Emhoff.
Kamala Harris is our auntie.
She'll be a president who cares for all of us.
She'll lift us up. In 2016, we celebrated Auntie's Senate win. We saw Trump winning. I was only 9, but I knew enough to be concerned. Auntie said, "Do you know what superheroes do? They fight back. And we will too."
She will make time for what matters. You know, no one is busier than my auntie, but she always makes time for family. From moments as simple as cooking and sharing a meal to exchanging stories and jokes. Auntie taught me about being present in what's important, and I know that's how she'll lead.
She'll treat everyone with respect. Even as a kid, Auntie made me feel that I was seen, that my words are important, that I am important and loved. I know she'll value others' perspectives, no matter their age or their background.
Auntie, we love you.
We're so proud of you.
And most importantly, you're a baller. And as you'd say, let's win this thing.
Let's win this thing.
Please welcome nominee for U.S. Congress in California, Latifah Simon.
Latifah Simon, and I am running for Congress. And I'm here tonight to tell you all about the Kamala Harris that I know. I'm gonna tell you. When Kamala Harris was the district attorney in San Francisco, California, I was a teen mother running an organization working to end sex trafficking among beautiful young women and girls, to build the self-determination and power among those girls. And Kamala learned about the work that I was doing, and she asked me to join her team. And I joined her team. She saw my potential, my commitment, and the good work that we could do together. And I saw her. I saw Kamala Harris holding the hands of sexual assault survivors. I saw scores of mothers who lost their babies to gun violence, lining up day after day at the courthouse, waiting only to speak to Kamala because they knew that she would hear them, that she would truly see them, because there's something about Kamala Harris. For those who know her, you know. When she hears your story, she carries it with her. When she sees you, she truly sees you. She truly sees you. She is the best among us. After working with Kamala Harris day in and day out for 5 years to create programs that supported young people to get out of the criminal justice system once and for all with good jobs, with opportunity. She wanted to get to the root cause of a broken criminal justice system. I saw her chip away. She came early and she left late every single day because, you know, like those mothers, like those sexual assault survivors, when she goes into that Oval Office, when she goes into that Oval Office, I guarantee you she will take all of us with her. All of us. The single mothers, the disabled veterans, the low-income folks who are dying to survive, the immigrants who are trying to work towards the promise of America. She will take us all. The farm workers, she will take us all with her. All of us. That is the Kamala Harris that I love. A woman of the people. A woman, a fierce woman for the people. Good night, Democrats.
Please welcome former U.S. Associate Attorney General of the United States and the Vice President's brother-in-law, Tony West.
Years ago, in my first week at law school, I met a new classmate, Maya Harris. We became best friends, but the way Kamala tells the story, we'd already fallen in love by graduation day. And when Maya and I married, I not only gained a life partner I love, a daughter I adore, and a mother-in-law I revered, someone I affectionately called Mother Harris, I also gained a sister I cherish, Kamala. Now, Maya, Kamala, and I each pursued different legal careers, but we were motivated by the same values: a belief in equal opportunity, a yearning for fairness, a passion for justice. Values Mother Harris taught those two little girls, values that powered Kamala's public service from the very beginning. You know, one of Kamala's very first cases in the district attorney's office, it involved a woman, an innocent woman, wrongfully arrested in a police raid. It was a Friday afternoon, and the courthouse was shutting down for the weekend. And look, most prosecutors, they would have gone home and dealt with the matter the following Monday. But not Kamala. You see, my sister-in-law knew that if the judge didn't see this woman that afternoon, she'd spend the entire weekend in jail. And Kamala, she wondered, does this woman work weekends? Would she lose her job? Does she have young kids at home? Who'd feed those kids? So Kamala pleaded for the judge to return to the bench and to hear the matter. And the judge agreed. And within minutes, that woman was released back to her family that night. Now, it may seem small, but that's what it means to stand up for justice. That's what it means to stand for the people. And as Kamala says, when you know what you stand for, you know what to fight for. And look, believe me when I tell you, as a sister, a daughter, an auntie, and a mother, I've seen Kamala fight for her family. As district attorney, attorney general, U.S. Senator, and Vice President of the United States, I have watched her fight in the halls of power for those who have no voice there. And as president, I know she'll fight for you. She'll fight for all of us. Because, friends, when Kamala fights, we win. Thank you. God bless you.
A crime against any one of us is a crime against all of us.
The work that she did as Attorney General was taking on issues to help people who were trying to make a life for themselves and their families.
When Kamala Harris came into office in 2011, the most urgent economic crisis facing communities throughout California was the foreclosure crisis.
For too many Californians, hopes for lasting homeownership have been dashed. Victims have fallen prey to a series of mortgage scams, fraud, and unfair business practices.
In order to get meaningful relief, we had to sue the banks and see through a lengthy litigation process.
When Kamala was sitting at the table negotiating, it wasn't just about the money, it was about real people. I vividly remember her thinking about Mommy, who could finally afford to buy her first home, and how proud Mommy was. So Kamala knew what was at stake for families and even whole communities.
We are very proud to announce a tremendous victory for California.
She truly believes that every single person, every American is worthy of the promise and the prosperity of this country. And every time Kamala has run for a bigger office, it's because she believes that she can have a bigger impact.
We are making a commitment tonight with this celebration of this Senate race to bring our country together.
In the Senate, to get a position on the Intelligence Committee is very coveted because it is about protecting our nation's security. And Kamala hit the ground running. She would not let a witness off easily.
Did you have any communications with Russian officials for any reason during the campaign that have not been disclosed?
I don't recall it. I need to be correct as best I can.
I do want you to be honest.
And I'm not able to be rushed this fast. It makes me nervous.
Her questioning of Attorney General Sessions was historic, and she earned the respect of colleagues on both sides of the aisle.
Kamala, as a senator, was a truth teller. She was there to expose what some of these guys were and what they intended to do.
Can you think of any laws that give government the power to make decisions about the male body?
I'm not thinking of any right now, Senator.
They didn't know what hit them. And in those moments, so many people saw her for the first time and saw how tough she was.
Would you accept them recommending a charging decision to you if they had not reviewed the evidence?
Well, that's a question for Bob Mueller. He's the U.S. attorney.
I think you've made it clear, sir, that you've not looked at the evidence, and we can move on.
When she's on a mission, she is determined and relentless.
When our fundamental values are being attacked, do we retreat or do we fight? I say we fight.
If you want to go forward in this country, not go backward, then there is only one choice.
Please welcome Nevada Senator Catherine Cortez Masto.
Hello, Chicago. You know, before I was senator, I was Nevada's Attorney General. And that's when I met Kamala Harris, my colleague in California. Now, we bonded over many things. And working together, I quickly learned what kind of person she is. She is a strong leader. Here's how I know. As AGs, we took on the big banks after the foreclosure crisis. And let me tell you, Kamala did not settle for less than homeowners deserved. Her leadership helped win billions for working families nationwide. Delivering for families, that's Kamala Harris. Kamala and I also worked to protect our southern border. During that time, Kamala invited a group of AGs across the border to meet with Mexican officials. Now, we worked together to put transnational criminals and drug smugglers behind bars. Holding criminals accountable, that's Kamala Harris. Listen, and when we took on human traffickers, Kamala had us meet with survivors so that we could understand who we were fighting for. Standing up for justice, that's Kamala Harris. So trust me when I say I know she will fight for our families and our freedoms. Now, we must fight for her. Every vote matters. I know, in 2016, Nevadans elected me, the granddaughter of a baker from Mexico, to serve as the first Latina in the United States Senate. I'll tell you what. And in 2022, my re-election came down to 7,928 votes. Because of voters in Nevada, the Democrats won the Senate majority. And I'm here to tell you, we can do it again. We can send Kamala Harris and Tim Walz to the White House. Are we ready to do it? Are we ready to fight? Let's get it done, Chicago. Thank you, everyone.
Please welcome Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro.
Thank you. 2.5 centuries ago in Philadelphia, a band of patriots declared their independence from a king and set ourselves on a path of self-determination. Generation after generation has embraced that responsibility. Ordinary Americans rising up, demanding more, seeking justice. And in every chapter of our American story, we've made progress and advanced the cause of freedom. Today we find ourselves writing that next chapter. Will we be a nation defined by chaos and extremism? Or will we choose a path of decency, honor, and continued progress? Kamala Harris, well, she has spent her entire career making progress. Donald Trump, a man with no guardrails, wants to take away our rights and our freedoms. And listen, while he cloaks himself in the blanket of freedom, what he's offering isn't freedom at all. Because hear me on this, it's not freedom to tell our children what books they're allowed to read. No, it's not. And it's not freedom to tell women what they can do with their bodies. And hear me on this, it sure as hell isn't freedom to say you can go vote, but he gets to pick the winner. That's not freedom. But you know what? You know what, Democrats? We are the party of real freedom. That's right. The kind of real freedom that comes when that child has a great public school with an awesome teacher because we believe in her future. Real freedom that comes when we invest in the police and in the community so that child can walk to and from school and get home safely to her mama. Real freedom that comes when she can join a union, marry who she loves, start a family on her own terms, breathe clean air, drink pure water, worship how she wants, and live a life of purpose where she is respected for who she is. Real freedom that comes when she can look at Madam President and know that this is a nation where anything and everything is possible. That is real freedom, and that is what we are fighting for. You know, Kamala and Tim's names may be on the ballot, but it's your rights. It's our rights. It's our future and freedoms that are on the line. And you have the power to shape the future of this country. Just like our ancestors who fought for freedom on the battlefield and sat in at lunch counters so our kids could stand up. Now it's on us. It's on us, my friends, to organize in our communities and on our For You pages around three basic American principles. We value our freedom, we cherish our democracy, and we love this country. And listen, we love this country. And listen, despite our challenges, hear me on this, I want you to know I have never been more hopeful because I see in all of you the enduring promise of America. E pluribus unum, out of many one. It's not merely a motto from the past, it's our direction for the future. You see, you all give me hope, and you all have the power. So let's use that power. Let's do the hard work necessary to win this election and write the next chapter in our American story. So are you ready to protect our rights? Are you ready to secure our freedoms? And are you ready to defend our democracy? And are you ready to elect Kamala Harris and Tim Walz? America, let's get to work.
Please welcome author, activist, and youngest presidential inaugural poet in American history, Amanda Gorman.
We gather at this hallowed place because we believe in the American dream. We face a race that tests if this country we cherish shall perish from the earth, and if our earth shall perish from this country. It falls to us to ensure that we do not fall, for a people that cannot stand together cannot stand at all. We are one family, regardless of religion, class, or color. For what defines a patriot is not just our love of liberty, but our love for one another. This is loud in our country's call because while we all love freedom, it is love that frees us all. Empathy emancipates, making us greater than hate or vanity. That is the American promise, powerful and pure. Divided, we cannot endure, but united, we can endeavor to humanize our democracy and endear democracy to humanity. And make no mistake, cohering is the hardest task history ever wrote. But tomorrow is not written by our odds of hardship, but by the audacity of our hope, by the vitality of our vote. Only now, approaching this rare air, are we aware that perhaps the American dream is no dream at all, but instead a dare to dream together. Like a million roots tethered, branching up humbly, making one tree. This is our country from many, one, from battles won, our freedoms sung, our kingdom come has just begun. We redeem this sacred scene, ready for our journey from it. Together, we must birth this early republic and achieve an unearthly summit. Let us not just believe in the American dream, let us be worthy of it. Thank you.
There's a word I heard. The word is called freedom. Can you tell me what it means?
Interesting. Let me think about that for a second.
The spirit of freedom.
For me? Oh, yeah.
Freedom, to me, means choice.
The ability to laugh with friends.
Be who you want to be. Go where you want to go.
Living your life day to day. Having new chapters in that life.
I believe in having your own words and being able to do what you want to.
The freedom to raise our family in healthy communities.
The idea that I can turn to my partner, my husband, and say I love you with every being of my soul.
Being able to start a family when I want to, being able to, support the missions that I want to go to the church that I want to.
Not everyone has the same opportunities, but the United States is, of anywhere I've ever been, just one place where you can accomplish more.
The big, fantastic thing about America is that it is the land of opportunity. I know it sounds trite, but it's the truth.
I grew up with a single mom, and she really imbued in me these qualities that you just really have to care about your neighbors and your family and your friends.
I feel like the American dream is having opportunities, having opportunity to go to college if you want to, having opportunity to get any job you can, no matter who you are or where you come from.
The American dream is about having the ability to make choices about your medical care and do whatever you want to do with your life without anybody telling you if it's good or not.
We are in an incredible moment in history. We've seen women stripped of their most fundamental right to autonomy over their bodies.
The freedom to make choices about your body, your life, your career should be entirely in your control.
But I have found that good people want to do good things.
That you find a way to move forward under ugly and scary circumstances.
The work that lies ahead is to make America live up to its highest ideals. And, we're proud to go to work.
The work to build a better future really depends on all of us coming together.
We have to bring back that respect for everyone.
I don't think we're as divided as we seem.
Let's come together as one big nation.
I feel like we are on the verge of something very amazing in this country.
It makes me want to fight for our children and future generations to ensure they have just as many, if not more, freedoms than we had.
I believe in a future where my mom can feel safe no matter where she is in the country.
A future that is filled with a healthy and vibrant planet, where families are not separated by fences or jail bars.
A future in which we all get what we need.
I want to see that for people who are younger than me.
Hopefully the kids I teach can chase their dreams and believe in what they want to be.
I want a future for him that he knows that he's covered and protected.
Everyone should think about what we can leave to the next generation. It's our responsibility. It's what we have to do.
My name's Tyler.
My name's Yvette.
And we believe in love.
I'm Alex.
I'm Kiara.
My name is Steven. My name is Charlie. I'm a proud 7th generation Texan.
I am from Waterford, Michigan, just north of Detroit.
I'm from East Tennessee.
And we believe in the American dream.
We believe in a better world for our child, and we believe in this country.
My name is Karen, and I believe in justice.
My name is Nancy.
My name is Thoreau.
My name is Jennings.
My name is Dana.
My name is Todd.
And we believe in freedom.
My name is Gina, and I believe in freedom.
My name is Pat, and I believe in the freedom to work together.
Please welcome Oprah Winfrey.
Who says you can't go home again? After watching the Obamas last night, that was some epic fire, wasn't it? Some epic fire. We're now so fired up, we can't wait to leave here and do something. And what we're going to do is elect Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States. I am so honored to have been asked to speak on tonight's theme about what matters most to me, to you, and all of us Americans: freedom. There are people who want you to see our country as a nation of us against them, people who want to scare you, who want to rule you, people who'd have you believe that books are dangerous and assault rifles are safe, that there's a right way to worship and a wrong way to love, people who seek first to divide and then to conquer. But here's the thing. When we stand together, it is impossible to conquer us. In the words of an extraordinary American, the late Congressman John Lewis, he said, no matter what ship our ancestors arrived on, we are all in the same boat now. Congressman Lewis knew very well how far this country has come because he was one of the brilliant Americans who helped to get us where we are. But he also knew that the work is not done. The work will never be done because freedom isn't free. America is an ongoing project. It requires commitment. It requires being open to the hard work and the heart work of democracy. And every now and then, it requires standing up to life's bullies. I know this. I've lived in Mississippi, in Tennessee, in Wisconsin, Maryland, Indiana, Florida, Hawaii, Colorado, California, and and sweet home Chicago, Illinois. I have actually traveled this country from the redwood forests, love those redwoods, to the Gulf Stream waters. I've seen racism and sexism and income inequality and division. I've not only seen it, at times I've been on the receiving end of it. But more often than not, what I've witnessed and experienced are human beings, both conservative and liberal, who may not agree with each other, but who'd still help you in a heartbeat if you were in trouble. These are the people who make me proud to say that I am an American. They are the best of America. And despite what some would have you think, we are not so different from our neighbors. When a house is on fire, we don't ask about the homeowner's race or religion. We don't wonder who their partner is or how they voted. No, we just try to do the best we can to save them. And if the place happens to belong to a childless cat lady, well, we try to get that cat out too. Because we are a country of people who work hard for the money. We wish our brothers and sisters well, and we pray for peace. We know all the old tricks and tropes that are designed to distract us from what actually matters, but we are beyond ridiculous tweets and lies and foolery. These are complicated times, people, and they require adult conversation. And I welcome those conversations because civilized debate is vital to democracy, and it is the best of America. Now, over the last couple of nights, we have all seen brave people walk onto this stage and share their most private pain. Amanda and Josh, Caitlin, Hadley, they told us their stories of rape and incest and near-death experiences from having the state deny them the abortion that their doctor explained was medically necessary. And they've told us these things for one reason, and that is to keep what happened to them from happening to anybody else. Because if you do not have autonomy over this, If you cannot control when and how you choose to bring your children into this world and how they are raised and supported, there is no American dream. The women and men who are battling to keep us from going back to a time of desperation and shame and stone cold fear, they are the new freedom fighters. And make no mistake, they are the best of America. I want to talk now about somebody who's not with us tonight. Tessie Prevost Williams was born in New Orleans not long after the Supreme Court ruled that segregated public schools were unconstitutional. That was in 1954, same year I was born. But I didn't have to head to first grade at the all-white McDonough 19 school with a U.S. Marshal by my side like Tessie did. And when I got to school, the building wasn't empty like it was for Tessie. You see, rather than allowing McDonough to be integrated, parents pulled their kids out of the school, leaving only Tessie and two other little black girls, Gail Etienne and Leona Tate, to sit in a classroom with the windows papered over to block snipers from attacking their 6-year-old bodies. Tessie passed away 6 weeks ago. And I tell this story to honor her tonight because she like Ruby Bridges and her friends, Leona and Gail, the New Orleans Four they were called. They broke barriers and they paid dearly for it. But it was the grace and guts and courage of women like Tessie Prevost Williams that paved the way for another young girl who 9 years later became part of the second class to integrate the public schools in Berkeley, California. And it seems to me that at school and at home, somebody did a beautiful job of showing this young girl how to challenge the people at the top and empower the people at the bottom. They showed her how to look at the world and see not just what is, but what can be. They instilled in her a passion for justice and freedom and the glorious fighting spirit necessary to pursue that passion. And soon, and very soon, very soon, we're going to be teaching our daughters and sons about how this child of an Indian mother and a Jamaican father, two idealistic, energetic immigrants, how this child grew up to become the 47th President of the United States. The best of America. You know, let me tell you this. This election isn't about us and them. It's about you and me, and what we want our futures to look like. There are choices to be made when we cast our ballot. Now, there's a certain candidate that says if we just go to the polls this one time, that we'll never have to do it again. Well, you know what? You're looking at a registered independent who's proud to vote again and again and again because I'm an American and that's what Americans do. Voting is the best of America. And I have always, since I was eligible to vote, I've always voted my values. And that is what is needed in this election now more than ever. So I'm calling on all you independents and all you undecideds. You know this is true. You know I'm telling you the truth, that values and character matter most of all. In leadership and in life. And more than anything, you know this is true, that decency and respect are on the ballot in 2024. And just plain common sense. Common sense tells you that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz can give us decency and respect. They're the ones that give it to us. So, we are Americans. We are Americans. Let us choose loyalty to the Constitution over loyalty to any individual. Because that's the best of America. And let us choose optimism over cynicism, because that's the best of America. And let us choose inclusion over retribution. Let us choose common sense over nonsense. Because that's the best of America. And let us choose the sweet promise of tomorrow over the bitter return to yesterday. We won't go back. We won't be set back, pushed back, bullied back, kicked back. We're not going back. Not going back. We're not going back. So, let us choose. Let us choose truth. Let us choose honor. And let us choose joy. Because that's the best of America. But more than anything else, let us choose freedom. Why? Because that's the best of America. We're all Americans, and together, let's all choose Kamala Harris. Thank you, Chicago. Thank you, America.
Here's what I want people to know about Tim Walz.
Well, everybody at Mankato West High School loved Tim Walz.
Yeah, I mean, Tim was jovial.
When he would start teaching, it was like full contact teaching. You could not help but be interested in what he was talking about.
He seemed to care about everybody in his class.
He knew everyone's name.
He wanted to know what interested you, how to engage you, what you were excited about, what you're feeling bad about.
Mr. Walz was my geography and social studies teacher.
Mr. Walz was my football coach.
My middle school basketball coach.
When we were doing the high school play The Nerd, he was the person building the sets.
I don't think that there has ever been a moment where I've seen Tim exhausted from giving or engaging. He always seems like that person that's got the never-ending gas tank who can keep going.
When I decided to come out as gay, we started the Gay Straight Alliance. Tim Walz was the faculty advisor.
We saw him not only as a teacher, but a mentor and a leader.
Mr. Walz was a really big part in helping build this community, and he's a big reason why I became a teacher myself. It was inspiring being in his classroom.
Please welcome Maryland Governor Wes Moore.
Thank you. Thank you. On March 26th, at 1:30 in the morning, a container ship, the length of 3 football fields, slammed into the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore, and the bridge collapsed. A port that drives 13% of our state's economy was now closed. Thousands of workers were hours away from waking up and realizing they no longer had a job. 6 Marylanders who had been on the bridge in the middle of the night fixing potholes lost their lives. And one of the first phone calls that I got that morning started with these 3 words. Gov, it's Kamala. She said, I know you spoke to the president, and I want you to know we are here with you every step of the way. Now, I joined the Army when I was 17. In fact, I was too young to sign the paperwork. I had to ask my mom to sign the paperwork for me because I don't have bone spurs. I led soldiers in combat in Afghanistan. And my training taught me that you never learn anything about anybody when times are easy. You learn everything you need to know about somebody when times are hard and when the temperature gets turned up. And America, I saw that Kamala Harris is the right one to lead in this moment firsthand. And united, with the Almighty God's grace, we brought closure to the families of the 6 victims. And while many said it could take 11 months to reopen the port of Baltimore, we got it done in 11 weeks. Because that is the story of America. We are a nation of patriots who serve when the mission is hard and who serve when the destination is uncertain. And I know our history is imperfect. The unevenness of the American journey has made some skeptical. But I'm not asking you to give up your skepticism. I just want that skepticism to be your companion and not your captor. And I'm asking that you join us in the work. Because making America great doesn't mean telling people you're not wanted. And loving your country does not mean lying about its history. Making America great means saying the ambitions of this country would be incomplete without your help. It's the legacy of those 6 workers who fixed potholes on a bridge while we slept, who were born in a different country, but who knew that America was big enough for them too. It's the journey. It's the journey of a man raised by a remarkable immigrant single mom, a man who felt handcuffs on his wrists at 11 years old, who now stands before you as the 63rd governor of Maryland and the first black governor in the history of our state. It's the story of a prosecutor who defended our freedoms and had Maryland's back when we needed it most. And now, MVP, we've got your back as well. That's right. It's my fellow veteran, my brother, and the next Vice President of the United States, Tim Walz. And now, Tim knows that in the military, you count the days towards mission completion. So guess what, y'all? We have got 75 days and a wake-up until Election Day. 75 days and a wake-up for us to prove what Americans can do when the pressure is on. 75 days and a wake-up for us to show that true patriots do not whine and complain. We put our heads down and we get to work. 75 days and a wake-up to build a future that those who came before us hope for, and those who come after us that they deserve. And 75 days and a wake-up to elect a leader who is willing to believe in the best of us, and that leader is Kamala Harris, the next president of the United States. Thank you, God bless you, and let's leave no one behind.
South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, Democrats. Thank you, Chicago. Here's a sentence I never thought I'd hear myself saying. I'm Pete Buttigieg, and you might recognize me from Fox News. I believe in going anywhere, in service of a good cause, and friends, we gather in a very good cause, electing Kamala. The choice could not be clearer. Donald Trump rants about law and order, as if he wasn't a convicted criminal running against a prosecutor. As if we were going to forget that crime was higher on his watch. Talks about the forgotten man, hoping we'll forget that the only economic promise that he actually kept was to cut taxes for the rich. And don't even get me started on his new running mate. At least Mike Pence was polite. J.D. Vance is one of those guys who thinks if you don't live the life that he has in mind for you, then you don't count. Someone who said that if you don't have kids, you have, quote, no physical commitment to the future of this country. You know, Senator, when I deployed to Afghanistan, I didn't have kids then. Many of the men and women who went outside the wire with me didn't have kids either. But let me tell you, our commitment to the future of this country was pretty damn physical. Choosing a guy like J.D. Vance to be America's next vice president sends a message. And the message is that they are doubling down on negativity and grievance, committing to a concept of campaigning best summed up in one word: darkness. Darkness is what they are selling. The thing is, I just don't believe that America today is in the market for darkness. I believe America is ready for a better kind of politics. Yes, politics at its worst can be ugly, crushing, demeaning, but it doesn't have to be. At its best, politics can be empowering, uplifting. It can even be a kind of soul craft. My faith teaches me that the world isn't made up of good people and bad people, but rather that each of us is capable of good and bad things. And I believe leaders matter because of what they bring out in each of us, the good or the bad. Right now, the other side is appealing to what is smallest within you. They're telling you that greatness comes from going back to the past. They're telling you that anyone different from you is a threat. They're telling you that your neighbor or nephew or daughter who disagrees with you politically isn't just wrong, but is now the enemy. I believe in a better politics, one that finds us at our most decent and open and brave. The kind of politics that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are offering. And as you have felt these many days, that kind of politics also just feels better to be part of. There is joy in it, as well as power. And if all of that sounds naive, let me insist that I have come to this view not by way of idealism, but by way of experience. Not just the experience of my unlikely career. Someone like me serving in Indiana, serving in Washington, serving in uniform. I'm thinking of something much more basic. I'm thinking of dinner time at our house in Michigan. When the dog is barking and the air fryer is beeping and the mac and cheese is boiling over, and it feels like all the political negotiating experience in the world is not enough for me to get our 3-year-old son and our 3-year-old daughter to just wash their hands and sit at the table. It's the part of our day when politics seems the most distant, and yet the makeup of our kitchen table, the existence of my family, is just one example of something that was literally impossible as recently as 25 years ago, when an anxious teenager growing up in Indiana wondered if he would ever find belonging in this world. This kind of life went from impossible to possible, from possible to real, from real to almost ordinary in less than half a lifetime. But that didn't just happen. It was brought about through idealism and courage, through organizing and persuasion and storytelling, and yes, through politics, the right kind of politics, the kind of politics that can make an impossible dream into an everyday reality. I don't presume to know what it's like in your kitchen, but I know, as sure as I am standing here, that everything in it, the bills you pay at that table, the shape of the family that sits there, the fears and the dreams that you talk about late into the night there, all of it compels us to demand more from our politics than a rerun of some TV wrestling death match. So this November, we get to choose. We get to choose our president. We get to choose our policies, but most of all, we will choose a better politics. A politics that calls us to our better selves and offers us a better everyday. That is what Kamala Harris and Tim Walz represents. That is what Democrats represent. That is what awaits us when America decides to end Trump's politics of darkness once and for all. That is what we choose when we embrace the leaders who are out there building bridges and reject the ones who are out there banning books. This is what we will work for every day to November and beyond. So let's go win this. Thank you, Democrats. Thank you.
Seeing Governor Walz going to Congress and then becoming governor, I see the guy that was a first sergeant. I see a guy that's full of energy, always busy. And like he says, you get enough time to sleep when you're dead.
I first met Governor Walz and Congressman Walz when I was transitioning out of the Marine Corps, going back to school. He really wanted to know what the experience was of those that were actually using the GI Bill and how it could be improved. It seemed to be a continuation of focus on improving the lives of veterans.
Governor Walz in our unit always would say his catchphrase was, "We'll get it done." And we always did.
The way I've seen him carry himself over the years in Congress and the way he works for veterans, there's no excuse making, there's no scapegoating, it's just accomplish the mission.
Governor Walz has been that way and always will be that way.
Having Governor Walz on the House Veteran Affairs Committee was instrumental in getting the post-9/11 GI Bill not only introduced, but also passed.
When Governor Walz wants change, it'll happen. Back to the Guard. We'll get it done.
Please welcome EGOT-winning multi-platinum artist and activist John Legend and Queen of Percussion Sheila E.
Don't like the world you're living in.
not for high school football, but for 7th grade basketball and track. So what was a high school football coach doing, coaching 7th grade basketball and track? Well, there was a kid in the high school who couldn't afford to pay for lunch, and he ran up a lot of debt. And Tim and Gwen decided they'd help pay it off. They started calling around the district to see if there were any positions they could fill to make a little extra money, and that's how he wound up coaching us 7th graders. That's right. Coach Walz got us excited about what we might achieve together. He believed in us, and he helped us believe in each other. And his leadership stuck. That track team went on to win a state title, just like the football team. That's right. Speaking of which, come on out, Scarlets. Yeah! You know, all this got me thinking about the kinds of leaders we need. We want the people in charge to be genuine, compassionate, and trustworthy. The thing is, there are people in our neighborhoods who fit this description. The kind of people who display quiet leadership by helping kids pay for their lunches, by bringing teams together to believe in each other. And when we're stuck in the snow, they push us out. Well, in my neighborhood, we always wish that people like that would run for office. Well, in my neighborhood, someone like that did run for office. And he's going to be a wonderful vice president. Thanks very much.
Out here, in the wide open spaces, we are reminded of the values we share: a commitment to community, country, and standing up for what's right. Tim Walz grew up in a small town in Nebraska, where he spent summers working the family farm. There were just 24 students in his graduating class. His dad served during the Korean War, and that meant a lot to Tim. So he enlisted right after his 17th birthday and served 24 years in the National Guard, rising to Command Sergeant Major. Tim went to college on the GI Bill and became a social studies teacher. That's where Tim and I met. We shared a classroom with a divider right down the middle. His classroom was a lot louder than mine, but I could hear how engaged his students were. Tim taught for over 15 years, and he coached football, helping lead the team to a state championship after 0 wins just a few years before. Tim taught them how to believe in themselves and that we're all in this together. When one of our students started the school's Gay Straight Alliance, Tim agreed to serve as faculty advisor because he knew how impactful it would be to have a football coach involved. He inspired his students, and he changed lives.
He is just so joyful in everything that he does, but I think also standing up for, what he believes to be right, stands up to bullies.
Then, Tim's students inspired him to run for Congress in southern Minnesota. Tim spent a lot of time working with Republicans, fighting to help farmers and expanding veterans' benefits. Whether it was in Congress or as governor, his focus has always been helping working people like those he grew up with. That's why he fought for the largest tax cut in Minnesota state history.
But Tim Walz was there for small businesses like ours.
With the urging of Governor Walz, we were able to pass the Alex Smith Insulin Affordability Act, and it has saved lives in Minnesota.
With Tim as governor, Minnesota is one of the best places to raise a family and one of the best states for business. Tim's a lifelong hunter and gun owner. But after the Sandy Hook school shooting, he knew that we had to do something. So he's fought for background checks and red flag laws. But of all the things he's done, Tim loves being a dad. We struggled to have kids, and fertility treatments made it possible. There's a reason our daughter is named Hope. Hope and Gus mean the world to us.
Governor Walz making good on a promise to his son and family yesterday by getting them a puppy.
Then we're gonna go get some food, corn dog.
I'm vegetarian.
Turkey then. And
Turkey's meat.
Not in Minnesota, turkey special.
He's as at home on a farm, a fishing boat, a football field, or a factory floor as he is on the floor of Congress. Tim's commitment to service all comes back to the values we grew up with. Love your country, help your neighbor, and fight for what's right. Because that's what America is all about.
2 middle-class kids. One, a daughter of Oakland, California. The other, a son of the Nebraska Plains, only in America. Is it possible for them together to make it all the way to the White House?
Please welcome the Democratic nominee for Vice President, Governor Tim Walz.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you, first of all, to Vice President Harris. Thanks for putting your trust in me and for inviting me to be part of this incredible campaign. And a thank you to President Joe Biden for 4 years of strong, historic leadership. It's the honor of my life to accept your nomination for Vice President of the United States. We're all here tonight for one beautiful, simple reason. We love this country. So thank you to all of you here in Chicago and all of you watching at home tonight. Thank you for your passion. Thank you for your determination. And most of all, thank you for bringing the joy to this fight. Now, I grew up in Butte, Nebraska, a town of 400 people. I had 24 kids in my high school class, and none of them went to Yale. But I'll tell you what, growing up in a small town like that, you learn how to take care of each other. That family down the road, they may not think like you do. They may not pray like you do. They may not love like you do, but they're your neighbors. And you look out for them, and they look out for you. Everybody belongs, and everybody has a responsibility to contribute. For me, it was serving in the Army National Guard. I joined up 2 days after my 17th birthday, and I proudly wore our nation's uniform for 24 years. My dad a Korean War era Army veteran, died of lung cancer a couple years later. He left behind a mountain of medical debt. Thank God for Social Security survivor benefits. And thank God for the GI Bill that allowed my dad and me to go to college, and millions of other Americans. Eventually, like the rest of my family, I fell in love with teaching. Three out of 4 of us married teachers. I wound up teaching social studies and coaching football at Mankato West High School. Go Scarlets! We ran a 44 defense. We played through to the whistle on every single play, and we even won a state championship. Never closed the yearbook, people. But it was those players and my students who inspired me to run for Congress. They saw in me what I had hoped to instill in them, a commitment to the common good, an understanding that we're all in this together, and the belief that a single person can make a real difference for their neighbors. So there I was, a 40-something high school teacher with little kids, 0 political experience, and no money, running in a deep red district. But you know what? Never underestimate a public school teacher. Never. I represented my neighbors in Congress for 12 years, and I learned an awful lot. I learned how to work across the aisle on issues like growing the rural economies and taking care of veterans. And I learned how to compromise without compromising my values. Then I came back to serve as governor, and we got right to work making a difference in our neighbors' lives. We cut taxes for the middle class. We passed paid family and medical leave. We invested in fighting crime and affordable housing. We cut the cost of prescription drugs and helped people escape the kind of medical debt that nearly sank my family. And we made sure that every kid in our state gets breakfast and lunch every day. So while other states were banning books from their schools, we were banishing hunger from ours. We also protected reproductive freedom because in Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and the personal choices they make. And even if we wouldn't make those same choices for ourselves, we've got a golden rule. Mind your own damn business. And that includes IVF and fertility treatments. And this is personal for Gwen and I. If you've never experienced the hell that is infertility, I guarantee you, you know somebody who has. And I can remember praying each night for a phone call, the pit in your stomach when the phone would ring, and the absolute agony when we heard the treatments hadn't worked. It took Gwen and I years, but we had access to fertility treatments. And when our daughter was born, we named her Hope. Hope, Gus, and Gwen, you are my entire world, and I love you. I'm letting you in on how we started a family because this is a big part about what this election is about. Freedom. When Republicans use the word freedom, they mean that the government should be free to invade your doctor's office. Corporations free to pollute your air and water. And banks free to take advantage of customers. But when we Democrats talk about freedom, we mean the freedom to make a better life for yourself and the people that you love. Freedom to make your own healthcare decisions. And yeah, your kids' freedom to go to school without worrying about being shot dead in the hall. Look, I know guns. I'm a veteran. I'm a hunter. And I was a better shot than most Republicans in Congress, and I got the trophies to prove it. But I'm also a dad. I believe in the Second Amendment, but I also believe our first responsibility is to keep our kids safe. That's what this is all about. The responsibility we have to our kids, to each other, and to the future that we're building together, in which everyone is free to build the kind of life they want. But not everyone has that same sense of responsibility. Some folks just don't understand what it takes to be a good neighbor. Take Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. Their Project 2025 will make things much, much harder for people who are just trying to live their lives. They spent a lot of time pretending they know nothing about this. But look, I coached high school football long enough to know, and trust me on this, when somebody takes the time to draw up a playbook, they're going to use it. And we know if these guys get back in the White House, they'll start jacking up the costs on the middle class, they'll repeal the Affordable Care Act, they'll gut Social Security and Medicare, and they will ban abortion across this country with or without Congress. Here's the thing, it's an agenda nobody asked for. It's an agenda that serves nobody except the richest and the most extreme amongst us. And it's an agenda that does nothing for our neighbors in need. Is it weird? Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's also wrong. And it's dangerous. It's not just me saying so. It's Trump's own people. They were with him for 4 years. They're warning us that the next 4 years will be much, much worse. You know, when I was teaching every year, we'd elect a student body president. And you know what? Those teenagers could teach Donald Trump a hell of a lot about what a leader is. Leaders don't spend all day insulting people and blaming others. Leaders do the work. So I don't know about you, I'm ready to turn the page on these guys. So go ahead, say it with me. We're not going back. We've got something better to offer the American people. It starts with our candidate, Kamala Harris. From her first day as a prosecutor, as a district attorney, as an attorney general, as a United States senator, and then our vice president, she's fought on the side of the American people. She's taken on the predators and fraudsters. She's taken down the transnational gangs, and she stood up to powerful corporate interests. She has never hesitated to reach across that aisle if it meant improving your lives. And she's always done it with energy, with passion, and with joy. Folks, we've got a chance to make Kamala Harris the next president of the United States. But I think we owe it to the American people to tell them exactly what she'd do as president before we ask them for their votes. So here, this is the part, clip and save it and send it to your undecided relatives so they know. If you're a middle-class family or a family trying to get into the middle class, Kamala Harris is going to cut your taxes. If you're getting squeezed by prescription drug prices, Kamala Harris is going to take on Big Pharma. If you're hoping to buy a home, Kamala Harris is going to help make it more affordable. And no matter who you are, Kamala Harris is going to stand up and fight for your freedom to live the life that you want to lead. Because that's what we want for ourselves, and it's what we want for our neighbors. You know, you might not know it, but I haven't given a lot of big speeches like this. But I have given a lot of pep talks. So let me finish with this, team. It's the fourth quarter. We're down a field goal, but we're on offense and we've got the ball. We're driving down the field. And boy, do we have the right team. Kamala Harris is tough. Kamala Harris is experienced, and Kamala Harris is ready. Our job for everyone watching is to get in the trenches and do the blocking and tackling. 1 inch at a time, 1 yard at a time, 1 phone call at a time, 1 door knock at a time, 1 $5 donation at a time. Look, we got 76 days. That's nothing. There'll be time to sleep when you're dead. We're going to leave it on the field. That's how we'll keep moving forward. That's how we'll turn the page on Donald Trump. That's how we'll build a country where workers come first. Healthcare and housing are human rights. And the government stays the hell out of your bedroom. That's how we make America a place where no child is left hungry, where no community is left behind, where nobody gets told they don't belong. That's how we're gonna fight. And as the next president of the United States always says, when we fight, thank you. God bless.